Hey guys, this is Jules. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to show you some very beginners watercolor images that I did. This is literally my second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh image ever done. Let's go into the video and I'll show you exactly what I used and what I did. So we're going to start with watercolor 5x7 watercolor paper by Pro Art. I cut these in half and I'm going to be using some Staedtler's watercolor pencils, a pack of 12. Some water, paper towels, and some brushes that I had in my drawer. Now I literally don't know how to draw much, so I'm just going to do some really simple images, some swatches, hearts, things like that. So I'm grabbing the red based colors like that orange, hot pink, and that purple, and I'm just going to stack 3 in a vertical line. I'm using the same watercolor pencils. I'm going to just fill them in a little bit. I will add in a couple of other colors. And I guess I'm just trying to see like how pigmented these are, how dark I can get them, how they kind of do that staining ring around an image. So this is what it looks like right now with the mixture of those watercolor pencils. So I just wet the brush and just in circular motions, I just start to go around the image and the scribbles inside start to dissolve and the colors just mix together. Now I have no experience, honestly. The last or the very first image that I did were baby feet that I gave to a friend of mine. She had a baby girl and I gifted her with some of the bibs from my last video and the bric brags and stuff, and I gave her a card. And that was the first time. I drew baby feet with different pinks and yellows and it came out super pretty. So I was always wanting to do some sort of watercoloring and never got around to it because I was intimidated. But I really just want to play and have fun and kind of just see how this mixes all together, how it blends, how it stains, how heavy it's pigmented or how heavy I can get it pigmented. So I don't know how these all work yet, but I don't want you to be afraid if you were at some point in time. Just grab some watercolor paper and watercolor pencils or the little color palette, paint palette. Just start digging in there and play with it, kind of get the feel of it. I really want to do some more later on and get a little bit better at it because I really love watercolor images. So this one is like the purpley one, and then there's like that orange pinky peachy middle one, and then a more just pink one. The stained rings around your image is like one of my favorite looks of any watercolor image. And sometimes how one color will blend and spill onto another without blotching it. I really like how that looks, so I just gotta practice. And somebody that I watch a lot of is someone named Emma, and I'll link her channel below. And one of the videos that I've recently watched that taught me a little bit about how to watercolor. I'll link her channel and that one video down below. But she is a school teacher and very patient with her in her videos and very encouraging. I really like watching her. Are there any beginners out there like me that maybe have barely made 1 or 2 watercolor images? I mean, how do you feel about the whole process? And are you currently trying to still practice or you're not? Tell me what's going on with that. Leave me a comment down below. This is another method, other than coloring an image in or drawing it in, you can literally use your wet brush and take the paint off the pencil. And I love splashing. It's like one of my favorite things to do, especially when I do or create something mixed media. And that's that for that one. See the rings? Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Okay, next one. What I wanted to do is just a big heart. And I'm using brown. I don't know why I grabbed the brown to begin with, but I grabbed the brown. I end up doing black in the center just a little bit. There's that black. And this one's a peachy yellow color, very light color. And I'll show you here what it looks like. What I was trying to go for is trying to figure out how to maybe do like a fiery brick red kind of a color. Right now it just looks brown, but I will add some red later on. See, one of the mistakes that I did, or one of the things that I learned now, is that when I was trying to add some more color in the center, like with the pencil directly on top of a wet image, those scribbles is hard to get out. So I learned that, you know what, I think I'm just gonna brush the tips of the pencil with the paintbrush to get it, because now like that scribble there was really hard to dissolve. I guess it's just doesn't work to add those things on a wet image, but whatever, I'm learning. So that red mixed with that brown and a little bit of the black in the center kind of gave it that brick red color, which I liked, because it's not red like bright red. It is a dark, deeper red, not quite burgundy yet. And look how it lightens up a little bit just by dabbing it with a paper towel. I really like that. Here's a little bit of purple, and I'd call it done with this card. We're gonna start on the next one. Actually, these next two are swatches with two different blues in two different ways. So I'm gonna do the short version. This is a horizontal swatch in blue, and I guess I was looking for a certain look, and I couldn't achieve it. I ended up saying, oh, forget it, and I just went for it, and I spread it out even more, and I liked it the way it turned out. It's not an intricate image or anything, but it came out really pretty. I just wanted it to be filling the card enough to be able to do something with it. So just darkening some of the edges. And I'm still just trying to figure out how it moves, how the watercolors move on the watercolor paper. So I think that's it for this one. Nothing big, right? Super simple. Nothing to be intimidated by. This one is my vertical swatch. I'm going to be using the lighter blue here and just taking the color all the way up. Now this is very, very light blue. I guess I would have to let it dry and go over it again to darken it, but I do like this tone. Now these are two similar cards, even with the two different blues, but I wanted to do something just a little bit different. Like the other one doesn't have the splash marks. This one has the splash marks on it, and it's the taller version. Right there's the darker blue, just to give a little bit more depth, I guess. And that one's done. All right, these three are done. These next three I'm going to be using Crayola washable watercolors, and they're in a palette. And these have a few different colors than the Staedtler brand does. And I think I like the variation. I didn't know if it was going to be really highly pigmented or not. So this is kind of some trials that I'm doing. I'm going to start with this aqua blue. Now, my thing is to just do some stripes. That's what I'm thinking, with three different colors. Now this sky blue. And what I should have done is allow the first layer to dry before doing the second color, because I noticed that they bled into each other and they got kind of sloshy, almost like a tie-dye look, like it bled in, like that purple bled into the blue. And I didn't really like that. That wasn't what I was going for. I wanted to do just cleaner lines, and it didn't come out that way. But we'll see what we can do with it, even though it's not my favorite, I guess. I'm just gonna fill in the ends there. The colors do look really pretty together. I like the combination, so that's good. I'm gonna set that aside for now. All right, let's start on the next one. So this one I've decided to call my bubbly hearts. I'm just gonna draw a bunch of hearts on this one, and using that nice bright red. And I'm leaving a little bit of a white area on the right side of the hearts. And that's mainly just to kind of show, you know, like a balloon that has like that bright spot. That's kind of what that's doing. And what I'm trying to figure out is how to make these look like a little bit dimensional, like bubbled. Yeah, like dimensional, like it's a little bit lifted. I'm not quite sure how to make that happen, but either way, I'm just going to draw a bunch of these. Just add a little bit of water to some of the centers to kind of make it bleed. This is what it looks like now. I love that. And I noticed that the bubbly, like the ink will stay on one side if I let it dry, like tilt it up. Let me show you what that looks like after it's all dry. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool how it has all these layers to it. It's really cute, and they're all in perfect, which is perfect. I'm just gonna sprinkle some pink, and I'm gonna try and do some white paint, but it's really hard to see. And I'm shaking and shaking and shaking, and I'm like, I can't see it until I pull it closer. Then I notice that it's like all over the place. I really like this card. Probably my favorite right now. All right. This is probably the most detail that I got in this entire video. I'm drawing out with just a mechanical pencil, an envelope. It'll have the 4 flaps and a heart in the center of it. I'm hoping that I can make it look a little bit of a vintage envelopes, like it's not wore out, not with tears or anything, but I want it to look a little bit dimensional and a little bit worn. So this is what it looks like after I drew it out. I'm gonna go with my eraser and erase and make it as light as possible because I don't want the pencil lines to show. And this is what it looks like now. So I can still see it really good. So I'm going with that mauve-y. And I'm gonna give it that light brown, kind of older envelope color. And I was like coloring the flaps individually and realized I didn't have to do that. I could have just painted the whole thing. But I end up just painting the whole thing except for the heart that's in the middle of it. So it kind of has aged paper, I guess, the envelope does. And I want to try and highlight it, and yeah, I'll show you here. So I want to just darken up the edges a tiny bit, and that helps like pull it up off the page. Here's what it looks like right now. So I'm trying to make it like this blushy color here, and trying to distinguish I think it's the top and the bottom flap. I want to make it a little bit, just a tiny shade darker, and that'll just allow anybody who looks at it to see that, you know, yes, there's 4 flaps in that. Yeah, that's an envelope. So it's a little bit more pinker. So this is for the heart, and as I paint it in, I kind of want it to be a little bit darker. And I can't remember what I did here. Oh yeah, I added some more pink. So as I'm adding more pink, it becomes too bright, and then I need to tone it down. So it's just, you know, I'm going back and forth trying to figure out how to make it look good. And I mean, and it looks okay. So same color, thinner, littler brush, and I'm gonna outline it. And for some reason, it does pick up the lines from the pencil, I feel, and it gives it a more dimensional look. I'm going to be trying to blend it out here with a little bit more extra water. I'm like pulling the shade down a little bit, but leaving most of the color around the diameter of the envelope, if that makes sense. I really liked how they all turned out. I mean, they're all different in their own way, and the envelope probably was maybe the most fun as far as like imagery, but the hearts is like, I love that heart, the bubbly hearts. Just mixing some more colors there. I did wait a little bit and the paint dried, but I'll re-wet it here in a minute. So now that heart looks a little too bright, so I'm gonna try and tone it down, and it's smeared. You see that on the left? So I'm just gonna fill it in again with another color. This is all a learning process for me. I hope this helps you guys too if you're wanting to learn or are just learning too. It's such a therapeutic like craft, you know, to just sit there and play with paint and create. All right, more splashes. And I think that's the color that I wanted anyway, so I'm gonna try and splash some of the another color. So this is kind of like that same like vintagey brown that I started off with, but I add a little bit more yellow because, you know, paper does end up yellowing after a while. And as you can see, the flaps, the lines of the flaps, it has that yellowish look to it. So I just try to sprinkle some of that yellow on there. And I think that's good enough. So here they all are, all done. And here's that one. I ended up taking just a wet brush and just like wiping the card with all that water, and it just got like that. So I think I am going to use that. So this is what I'm going to use is I'm just going to cut out a bunch of these dies that I'm going to be showing you here and using some of the stamps. So this is by Lawn Fawn, the candy hearts, and I was thinking to cut the candies out of that card I put in the side. This is a Coco and Reno called Heart. It's got a lot of different things for Valentines, XOXO, love, double swirly heart, really cute. Another Coco and Reno die called Calligraphy. It's got a lot of words on it like love, hello, together, beautiful, and some swirls. So I'm just gonna pull out a couple and cut them out. I'm just gonna have a little pile of cutouts and stuff to just play with. This one is another Coco and Reno die called Slot Die, and it's got cute little tags and slots for like the front of a card, and some dollar stamps that I've had for a while. This one says Soulmates, and I like the font on that. And this one Hanging Hearts, and it says I love you, and then the Heart of Hearts. I'm just going to set it aside, and then I have another stamp set. This is by Hampton Arts, just sentiments, love you bunches, and I like the thankful for you today. So I'm gonna go in with my Sizzix Big Shot, and I have just an extra piece of watercolor paper I'm gonna use and cut out just a few of the dies just to start. I'm just gonna start my own little pile. This one says beautiful, together. Now I'm gonna cut that blue paper. Hindsight, I shouldn't have cut all of them because I don't even use all of them. You'll see which one I end up using here. This one says I love you. It's so cute. I'm gonna set it aside though for maybe another project. We'll see. Here's a slot dies, the little tags, and a little heart just in case I want to use it. All right, For this one, I'm going to use the sentiment that says I love you, but I need to cut it apart because it's all together. And I'm going to be using my MISTI to line it up. I do use a little piece of tape here just to kind of help it from not folding up because it's a little warped. So once I grab it with the MISTI and they're aligned where I want them, just ink it and stamp it. And I have to do this probably like 2 or 3 times for almost all of the stamped image ones. For this one, I'm going to use this one, Love You Bunches. I was going to put it in the middle of there, but decided, nah, I don't think I'll just put it on the bottom. And it's so crisp. I believe I'm using Stays On Jet Black ink. So for that blue one, I'm using the Thankful For You Every Day. You just have to stamp it a few times. It's okay. This is the third one and final, I think. Yep, now it's nice and crisp. I love that. And their words are pretty bold too. I like it. So there they are. I'm going to be using Recollections cards and envelope set. That's going to be the base for all of them. And the white on white, it's not the same white. So I'm going to look for some cardstock to go with matting the images. I think that that'll help make the colors pop. So I'm just going through my stash to see what I have. I do find a blue that's kind of a scrap I've used before, which is good because I don't have to cut a whole new, brand new 12 by 12. This is by American Crafts. This is the light blue twine. I'm just going to wrap it around the bottom third. Make a bow, and I think that's cute. I need to adhere that twine down, so I'm getting a glue dot and I'm rolling it like a burrito so it looks like a worm right there. So I'm going to tack it under the knot so it stays put and it doesn't move. And there we go. And guess what I pulled out? A box of my bling and pearl packs. Like, these are so old, but I found this pack and I'm like, oh, these are like epoxy stickers. They're nice thick hearts, like cushiony. I'm just going to add some to it, and I think it finishes off the card beautifully. It doesn't need anything else in my opinion. The stacked hearts. I'm looking for that peachy pink that shows a lot through the images. I like it. And the pearls I found match that too. They're like a peachy color. It was perfect. I'm just going to adhere it to the cardstock. And then of course adhere the cardstock to the card base. And then the pearls. I think there's 4 different sizes on these. I'm just going to add, here, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's actually 6 on there. Oh, I like how that came out. Now it's time for the fire brick red image. And I found a red that is like that. It's perfect. It's the darkness of the edges of that heart. I think it came out cute. So I'm trying to not cut another piece of paper, so I just used that same cardstock backing and cut out the double swirly hearts, and you won't ever notice. It's behind the image, so it's not a big deal, because I want to use the swirly hearts in the middle of the big red heart. I think the swirly red hearts really tie the card together. Like, it makes sense that it's matted with that same color. It looks really cute to me. So I'm just going to use some glossy accents right in the middle there to glue it down. And then I love doing this technique. I haven't done it in a long time, but I use the glossy accents to, I pour it right on top of the image and get it all nice and shiny. And it just adds a little bit more depth or dimension and a pop of that shine. It's really, really cute. Kind of making your own puffy sticker. Oh, look at that. It looks like candy. Super cute. All right, we're gonna start now with the together card. So I didn't want to throw this piece away because I thought that I could still use it. Now it's too small to use as a card mat behind that blue piece that I painted. So I just cut the corners off in L shapes. Now, of course, the 2 corners are going to be empty. They're not going to be touching each other, but I think it adds some character, I guess. I think just the colors alone on the edges pops enough to give it a nice lift and border. So having that purple too on there, oh, I just think it just adds to that. That was enough. So I'm glad that that worked out. And this is a flower rose by Wild Orchid Crafts. And I'm going to peel off 2 layers to use. I do glue them together, but I also found this purple American Crafts twine, and with that blue, I think it works perfect. So I'm gonna make like a really funky gathering of thread, but it's the twine. I'm gonna layer these flowers and set them aside so I can mess with this twine, and using the glossy accents and my poker tool to hold it down, and I'm gluing the flowers down. I did have another piece, the swirly hearts, and I think I want to use that too. I think I'm just going to tuck that back there because it's swirly. It kind of goes with just the curvature of all of the thread that's there, or all the twine that's there. Just using my poker tool to clean up the glue, and then half adhesive pearls for the center of the flower, and then the solid one that has no lettering in it or no words in it. And then I'm going to put that together word right in the center of that. I wish I could make it like float a little bit, but it's so dainty. I don't think that it would stay. It could get torn off. So I just glued half of it down, and now I'm doing the other half. And again, my little weeder tool and cleaning up the glue on the edges. And then I just do the same thing, adding the glossy accents on top of the word together. It makes it look like a puffy sticker. Now you can add glitter on here. You can do this with like the dot gel glue. There's liquid pearls, wink of Stella, there's stickles, those kinds of things. You can do that on top of that too. I think it'll still pop really nice. And then some more half back pearls. I put a double-sided adhesive underneath the flowers because I should have adhered this down when I did the two edges, because now it's kind of not hard to glue it down. But anyways, there's the card. I love this color combination. Now for this one, I was just thinking, I like the doily heart because it just goes with the theme. I have to cut down that red matte card, and it's that bright red. I had two words cut out in that red, the XOXO and then the word love, and I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to use. And I could have gone with anyone, but I decided to do the word love. And I think I'm going to put the heart on dimensionals as well as the image of the hearts, the watercolor image. Do the glossy accents on top of the word. It just pops a little bit more. Not only because the word is red, but you know, you put some extra dimension of something on there and it just pops really nice. Now some dimensional adhesive all along the edge. I'm going to use a thin one and then a wider one. I think it's a 1 inch that I use for the very center. So we're doing the cardstock first. And I don't know what made me think of this, but I don't know, I'm just trying to make a nice Valentine's card. Using some of that red twine by American Crafts. And I didn't want the knot to sit in front, so I decided that I was going to tuck it in the back. I'm going to add the dimensional adhesive in the back of the heart, but I have to trim it down a little bit because it was sticking out on the sides. And that's all it needs. And then the twine is just going to be glued down in the back between the foam pieces so it doesn't obstruct anything. And there, that'll sit. Just making sure that it's all centered, and then I'll be gluing it down to that cardstock. I also wanted to use some of these little pearls. I've never used them before. They're a matte white, and I'm just going to add 3 to the very top corner of the heart there, and I think that finishes it off. Yeah, it doesn't really need anything else. There that is. We're going to go with the envelope watercolor image. So I want to do a little bit extra on this one. I'm going to do that pink cardstock for the backing and this vanilla colored twine. I'm just going to make a bow to set it aside, but I think I'm going to like wrap it around the side and then add a cardstock that is the same color as that vanilla. I think that that'll go really good with the colors of the image. So I just wrapped the twine around like 4 times, and I used masking tape not masking tape, Scotch tape, and it'll hold it down. So the vanilla cardstock under the pink cardstock. Oh, I love how the color combination, they complement each other. Just a dab of glue for that bow. I did cut the XOXO in that vanilla cardstock, and that's the All American Crafts cardstock, that pink and the vanilla. I really do like that brand. Doing the same thing, putting the glue up on top of the word. And I decided to do like a dewy look on there, just little dabs of the glue on top of the paint splatters. It's a little different, I guess. And I'm done, you guys. These are my final cards. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Please head down to the description box and look for all of the links. I have detailed pictures and product links over my blog. Thank you so much for stopping by, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great one. Bye.